I actually meant to do this a couple days ago, but to be completely honest, I've been a little bit busy here at work. So, yes, as 17,462 people have pointed out, that might be a slight exaggeration, I did forget to mention Canderous Ordo when I was doing my KOTOR and my KOTOR 2 reviews. I don't have any specific reason for that. I'm just an idiot, flaming moron with my head on fire and everything. But I did want to do just a little bit of a thing because he was a significant enough character to deserve being talked about, and I didn't want to just mention him as a scant. So in KOTOR 1, one of the things I liked most about Ordo, Canderous, was the fact that while he was certainly dark side, and I don't argue that at all, and he was certainly not a good person, Canderous was not an evil man. He was not a cruel, vicious, any layer of the spectrum, in my opinion. He was probably one of the more neutral individuals, in my opinion, in KOTOR 1. And I liked that. I liked the fact that while he had certainly done bad things and for bad reasons, he had also done good things for good reasons, and he was very much... Well, let's just put this frankly, shall we? Canderous is the model for a Mandalorian, to date, actually. The original concept of Mandalorians as a clan, as a people, more or less originated with Canderous. Before that, we only had vagueness and general mentions in the extended canon and stuff like that. I don't think they even said anything about it in the movies at all. So, Canderous started that whole thing, and Canderous, in my opinion, is what a true Mandalorian should be. He's not stupid, like several of the later ones are, and he's not, a completely bloodthirsty, anything to win psychopath like some of the later ones are. And everything else in the spectrum all revolves around him right here in the middle. And he was relatively decent, willing to do what was necessary to win, wanted to challenge himself, had a sense of honor, had a sense of duty for that matter, and was a fairly loyal individual on top of all that. In fact, Canderous's loyalty to Revan is such that it's amusing to me that they've basically generated a character who will join you no matter what you do. And I liked that. From a structural perspective and from a in lore perspective, it made sense that Canderous was the guy who will be with you no matter what, because he respects you so much as Revan. Now, over in KOTOR 2, Canderous is an amazing example of the overall theme of that game, which, as I already mentioned over my KOTOR 2 review, is wounded, or things that are wounded, or things that are missing, things that are without, the nobody thing again. And while Visas Mar, for example, was very much wounded on a soul level, if you could call it that, and literal level, Atten Rand had degenerated as a person, Bao-Dur had the guilt problems and all that. Canderous was wounded in a very unusual way, and I've actually argued in the past that he was the one who was most wounded of your various party members because of how severe the emptiness was that he experienced when Revan left. He had already been falling from Prime. If you remember in KOTOR 1 when you first get him, he was working for two-bit thugs because he had no purpose. He had no point in existing anymore. And when Revan came along, he finally had a reason, something to fight for, something that was worth something, something beyond just money and existence and a fight. No, he wanted a cause, is what he wanted, and that's what Revan gave him. And then Revan vanished. Like that. Revan was just gone. And we have Canderous left feeling confused and alone, and the only thing he ever actually had that he ever actually really cared about just up and vanished, and with no explanation, no reasoning, nothing at all. And so Canderous was left in a void, again, missing something. The theme just keeps coming here. And it shows so well when you talk to him. The voice actor did a great job of it, especially when Kreia starts to talk to him behind the scenes and mentions all of the things that we, the players, knew, and Kreia knew, and Canderous knew, but the Exile did not, about Revan and who Canderous really was and all that stuff. And there was this almost defeatism about him when he had taken up the mantle of Mandalore. It's just like, well, I'm the only one to do this, so I guess I'll do it. But he didn't really care because, again, he had that void. And so in both games, I think Canderous was an excellent character, and I do apologize for forgetting about him and for only talking about him for about 5 minutes here. But I have spent the last, I guess I could stop talking. I was just saying, I spent the last 2.5 hours, and I'm not done yet, sorting my next Q&A getting it ready for publishing and all that, and going through the questions and making them readable and legible, and making it so I can just paste the list right back into YouTube comments when I get there, and narrowing them down so it doesn't go over the character limit and all sorts of other things. So I'm going to keep doing that, and hopefully I'll actually get time tonight to do my Q&A 6.